Hello out there, and I just got back from Blade Show the other day, and I got these three new Spydercos in. Two of them are sprint runs, and then one is an extension of the native line in the Native Chief. And none of these knives are mine, guys. And honestly, I wasn't planning on making a video about any of them. Thought about maybe doing something with the Native Chief, but this really isn't my style of knife. Even though I think it's a smart extension of the line, it's just it's super long, almost cold steelish. So, I really didn't have too much to say about it. But when I looked at these three knives as a whole and thought about some of their characteristics, I wanted to take a minute today and just go over what these three knives exemplify that sort of sets Spyderco apart from the rest of their competition. Some of the things that are done with these three specific models that really just separate them in a good way. And so we're going to start real quickly with the Native Chief. And the Native Chief, like I said, it's just a little bit too long for me, guys. This is a long knife, has a lot of tactical feel to it. It is as cold steely of a Spyderco as you're probably going to find. Here it is next to the Paramilitary 2, so you can see there's a distinct size difference there. Definitely too long of a knife for me. And I'm very sorry if you are upset that I don't have a native in my collection to compare this to, but I don't. So if that's going to bother you, maybe click away right now. But the Native Chief, what's impressive about it is the fact that it's just another variation of a very popular line. And if you have watched a lot of my videos, a lot of times with designs that are great, I will have a gripe about, well, I wish they would just give us this knife in this size, or make it a little smaller, or make it a little wider, or give us this steel or this variation. Whenever there's a hit design, I think that knife companies as a whole, they just don't capitalize on the design and extend it as far as they can. And with Spyderco, they almost do it to a fault, but they do it in a really good way with the Native Chief. And the example I'm thinking of is that, hey, if you have the Spyderco Native and you want a larger version of it, they didn't just give you one. They gave us the Shaman last year. They gave us a larger version in height and in beefiness. And in this year, they give us a larger version in length. They don't just do it one way, they do it two ways, and then they'll do the steels, and then they'll do, you know what I mean? And that's sort of the going above and beyond aspect that just strikes me that Spyderco is always looking for that to capitalize on. They didn't have to do a knife like this, but they did anyway. And it's sort of, for me, commonsensical, but a lot of companies don't see it that way, and a lot of companies aren't doing stuff like this. So yeah, I just think it's the frame of mind that they have that leads them to creating knives like this that really sets them apart. One quick thing about the knife, super quick thing about the knife, is that there is a lot of real estate back here where this back lock and the spine is, between the G10 scales, and it is super flush. This is a clean knife. And with my fingernail, I was trying to feel the seam. There's nothing. So I don't know the experience that everybody else is having, but this knife, yeah, it's executed really well. So yeah, they didn't just do it from the creative sense, they manufactured it well also. Now the second thing in the second knife is in the Urban, which for me doesn't really have much appeal, to be honest. This one is a slip it, and if I'm going to get a slip it, I would probably get the UK PK. This one, I don't know, more dragonfly-ish kind of blade shape. It's not a bad knife. It's a really attractive knife, but the thing that sets it apart is this right here. AEBL. What is that? What is that? What is that steel? I had no idea, but Spyderco does, and they're using it, and they're not just testing it, they're producing it. And that's the other thing that really sets them apart. All of the different steels. I had to look up what this steel was, and it is basically a stainless version of the 52-100 steel that they've used in a number of models, and so it's super hard, really good edge retention. It's a ball bearing steel, so yeah, it should be just a really good high quality edge on this knife that lasts for a long time. But the point of this is, who else is using this? Who else is using 52-100? Who else is using Maximet? Who else is using Crewwear? I mean, I'm just going to put in a list right here of all of the different steels that I can think of that other companies aren't using. I mean, Spyderco is a pioneer in the sense that, like, I think we take it for granted sometimes. We just don't understand just how much that they're doing that nobody else is. And that's just, it's super cool. I'm not going to get into here my overall take on steel and if it really matters and the heat treat issues that are going on. I am going to be covering that in a video that's coming up soon. Just sort of throwing my name into the hat with that whole discussion that's going on out there. But I just think them being in the forefront of stuff like this, and you can't even call them a pioneer, because if someone's a pioneer, that means other people are following in their footsteps. And Spyderco is just doing stuff that no one else is even trying to do with all these different steels. And it's extremely impressive to an extent that, again, I just don't think we appreciate all the time. So yeah, really cool that AEBL is out there in the market. And the last thing with this Delica M390. So first of all, let me just say, this dark blue is awesome. It's a great color. It is an absolutely great looking color for the Delica. This color alone makes me want to keep the knife. Although I can't, I would very much like to. But this one's an M390. And this is just another example of Spyderco going above and beyond. If you look at the kinds of things that they use from certain from certain factories around the world, they use certain steels because they're more readily available in those areas. So the VG10 and the HAP 40 and the Vitoku. I mean, there's a reason why all of the knives from Japan had the Vitoku sprint runs, and it was only those knives, only the ones produced in Seki City, because that's where they have it available, and so it makes sense. We put it on all those models and we move on. M390 is not a steel that you see come out of that factory. And in talking to Eric Lesser at Blade Show, and it was a quick conversation, and I think I remember the gist of it at this point, but I think what he was getting at was that they had taken the M390 and just shipped all the M390 over to the factory in Japan, which obviously is an added cost, and it's something that, is it really necessary? Are there not enough Delicas out there for people to choose from? There definitely are. They didn't need to do this, but they did, and they keep the preferences and the desires of the people who buy their knives in the front of their mind all the time. And it's stuff like this, again, just a little thing that maybe we take for granted that they do, and they do so well. And it makes me think that, every time I do have a small gripe, and I will be doing a Spyderco CEO video, and there will be some gripes, don't get me wrong, but every time that people do have a gripe about stuff, whether it's with a pocket clip or a lanyard hole, or just, all the little things that people complain about with Spydercos, man, let them have their idiosyncrasies. If they want to have pocket clips that don't carry deep and you have to buy an aftermarket one, fine. They want to stick a dumb hole in the middle of a knife, fine. Think about what they're actually doing for us that almost nobody else is, let's say. That's sort of the thing to keep in mind, is that I would much rather have all of the options and all of the extra steps and attention that they've shown just in these examples today, and have to come up with a new aftermarket clip if the one on the stock scale bothers me. You know what I mean? So I think it's really easy to just focus on the gripes, but today I just wanted to take a step back and just recognize some of the really awesome things that they are doing on a regular basis that we just get used to and come to expect. So anyway, guys, that is it. Those are the things that are really just setting Spyderco apart from everybody else. Any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, let me know down below. What's the big thing about Spyderco that you think is so impressive? And what's the thing that you would like to see them improve? Let me know, and maybe that'll make it into the CEO video when I make that. Thanks again. Have a good one and take care.